Street League draft rankings for the Seismitoad division. Joining me are my good pals, Eon
Hello.
and Blaze.
Howdy.
Yeah. So we are live streaming this, so let's wait a bit for some people to join the chat. Looks like we are successfully streaming. The button worked. Yes, we got
how many people are we gonna piss off today?
Yeah, that's the idea. So we got some additions to the background for the draft rankings this time. Lots of new popular emotes here at the KSL. We had a whole emote bracket. And the Seismitoad is making an appearance.
I laughed out loud when I saw that, honestly.
Yeah. I just love that you're using the sprite of all Seismitoad things you could.
That's what I found.
Just a chunky rumble.
Indeed. Anyways, unfortunately, Hydra didn't have time to do the rankings for the Seismitoad division and won't be here to help bring the rankings to you. But we got the three of us here, so it should be enough, I think. All right. So without any further ado, you guys have any general thoughts you want to talk about the drafts?
I mean, honestly, I felt like a lot of the Seismitoad division drafts were like very much on the same level. There were like some obvious ones that were like better than the rest, and some obvious that were a bit worse. But like in general, it was very tough to choose for me, like which team went actually like above which.
Yeah, I concur with that.
Yeah, I think when you look at the different drafts in the different divisions, you can definitely tell which ones are the higher divisions than the others.
Oh yeah,
I think
easily.
it's definitely obvious.
Like in Gastrodon was pretty much okay. Which team is worse than?
I think there are some good drafts in Gastrodon, but yeah, I think Seismitoad I think has like 2 or 3 pretty bad drafts in my opinion.
Like I feel like when I was looking Gastrodon, I'm like, this team could have been so good, but you decided to fuck it up at the last bit, or like you decided to just screw up this bit of it, so it just becomes a really meh team.
Okay, but you're talking about somebody who didn't draft the beginning half of their team.
Oh yeah, for example, like there was one person I was like, okay, this draft is freaking awesome, but they fucked up with the last 4 picks, so I can't give you first.
Yeah, so with the Seismitoad division overall, I thought a lot of the drafts are pretty decent. Like there weren't too many bad drafts. I think only like maybe like 2. But I don't think there was a ton of like outstanding drafts either. I'd say there's one that I really liked, and maybe like the top 7 or 6 are all like pretty solid.
Yeah, there were definitely some that I was like, yeah, I would definitely want to use this if I could.
Let's say hi to some people in chat. What's up, Forsyth? We got Robert Panda, Istanbul. I don't know who Vercone is, and Hibachi says he feels so attacked. XD.
Well, yeah. Sorry, Hibachi, but we have to speak the truth.
Yeah, no lying faces here. All right, so let's start off with I think everybody's gonna see this coming. Our number 10 draft. The Kettling Reapers by Insanity. 10 unanimous 10th.
Just a really, really bad draft.
Guys, when you think about it, this is the last team Insanity drafted before he dropped Mons.
Yeah, before he just like was like, nah, I give up Mons. Like Alec beat his team so hard that he just quit Mons.
Oof.
Yeah. Like,
Vercone is fine.
Look at the freaking team to begin with. You have 3 psychic types. You have 3 electric types. You used to have 2 bug types, but he got rid of one of them.
He still has 2 fighting types as well. Is the rock type? The rockers are Komo and Sudowoodo.
Then he has like a Spiker and a Selgor, but
his like fighting resist is a Selgor. I mean, not fighting. His ground resist is a Selgor.
His only removal was Hitmonlee and a freaking Mr. Rhyme, so any ghost type would just make it so he could never get rid of any hazards.
Yeah, he only has spinners.
Pretty much.
I think
don't get me wrong, they're both like solid removers, but they're more like secondary removers. You need to have like a main remover outside of them.
Yeah, I think
In
there
my
was
opinion.
definitely some good elements going on in this draft, but it just didn't come together. Like I think Aegis/Kamo is very strong. I actually drafted that myself. I think the
Yeah.
Hatterene is sort of awkward for the Fairy Dragon Steel core, if I'm being honest, since the Fairy and Steel are both weak to Ghost.
I mean, at least it was slightly compensated by Como getting bulletproof, but even then, like, that was like definitely a weird point.
Yeah, and then a Pokemon like
Also-
Hydreigon or Dragapult, like either of those are extremely threatening to this core.
Oh yeah. Also, like how the fact that he has literally no ground resist outside of a Selgor.
Yeah, doesn't really count. Anyways,
And,
I think that's we're beating a dead horse quite literally here.
quite
Pretty
yeah.
much.
The man literally quit Mons already, so
Yeah. But we do have a replacement already here who's made some transactions. We haven't ranked this draft, but we're going to talk about it, sort of assess it overall. And that's Fine
think,
and the Creffield Empoleons.
I think Seismitoad has some great logos. I'm just gonna say that.
Definitely.
Actually, yeah. Let me.
So
Yeah, like the Creffield Empoleon's logo is definitely sick.
And the Melmetal and the
yeah, well, we'll get to the other
Yeah,
logos
but we
later.
can get to those when we come to them. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Yeah,
definitely a bunch
so
of sick logos.
Fine kept the Aegis/Hatterene Como core that we were talking about, but also added
is
some
fine, to be
really
honest.
solid bulk between like Mandibuzz, Toxapex, Rhyperior. Yeah, Mandibuzz excellent ghost resist to go very well with those initial three.
I just have to ask why the Klinklang, Duosion, Leafeon like trio at the end. Like Klinklang and Duosion, both of them especially like bring nothing to this team.
Yeah, I know
And
he
secondary
originally was
Steel
aiming for
also doesn't set
Eldegoss,
rocks.
but found out he needed at least 10 Pokemon.
He has 10 Pokemon, right? Or did I miss
Yeah,
something?
he originally had Eldegoss in place of Klinklang and Leafeon.
yeah, then he changed some things.
Yeah, so he had to break
I would have
Eldegoss
definitely
into two
preferred
mons.
Eldegoss because, well, at the moment he only has Mandibuzz.
Yeah, he
for
didn't have
removal,
enough points to do
and
that.
Klinklang
Well, I guess he would have had to
does
split
not
Duosion into two 1-point mons. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Klinklang just does nothing for his team. It's another steel type that doesn't get rocks.
Yeah, I know the thing
big
he was
grass.
saying is he liked that its coverage and wild charge was actually somewhat useful for his team since it does struggle overall with bulky waters, especially with Inteleon being
I
the
would have
only
just rather
fast
taken an
Pokemon.
electric. I would have rather taken an electric type over Klinklang then, if that's what he thought.
Yeah, but there's only really like regular Manectric at that point range, and I think that might be taken.
Like, I mean, like, if he, let's say, like, he dropped Duosion and Klinklang and tried to pick something else, like an electric type of that, he should have enough points to get something that's halfway decent.
No, he'd only have enough 4 because he needs another Pokemon. He needs 10 mons.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, so this draft definitely struggled from being really top heavy. So his lower picks aren't really able to support his top very well.
Yeah. Also, like, his speed is, like, really weird because it just goes from Inteleon as 1 mon above 100 and then drops all the way down to Leafeon at 95.
Yeah, his team is definitely, like, more like semi-stall. I think the thing that's sort of missing from that playstyle is a good cleric for this team. Like, I think you would really appreciate, like, a Wish Passer Heal Bell user to help support Pokemon like Aegislash and Como.
Leafeon is not reliable enough to bring every game, and, like, Hatterene cannot run aromatherapy every week at all.
Yeah, and then there's just no Wish Passing whatsoever, which really, like, Aegislash is definitely going to be playing an offensive role every week, I think, with this squad.
I mean, you're saying no Wish Passer, but there's Leafeon. It's not a good Wish Passer, but it is a Wish Passer.
Right. Leafeon gets Wish. I've never seen it click that move in my life.
Oh, no, I actually brought, like, bulky Spadef Leafeon with Wish Heal Bell, like, twice before when I had Leafeon prior. It's pretty fun to use, actually, but, like, yeah, it's definitely, like, it's not a good Wish Passer. You don't draft it because you want a Wish Passer. You draft it because you need a cheap grass type.
I think the Rhyperior is a really cool pick here.
Oh, yeah, Rhyperior is one that I think is, like, definitely worked well with the team.
Yeah, I know when Fine said he was taking over the team, he's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to add Rhyperior to my roster. I'm happy to see he did. But yeah, overall, I know he didn't have a ton to work with. This is only a 10-person division, though, unlike the 16 one in freaking...
Yeah.
Actually, I just found out that I'm using the wrong setup for my capture. It's using my showdown setup. Here's my slides. All right, hopefully this looks a little better for you all. All right, I'm waiting for it to pull up on my Twitch on my phone so I can see if it's good now. All right, yeah, this looks much better. Cool. Sorry about that. It was cut off a little bit. I mean, you got some extra quagsires in the bottom. I don't think you can be too unhappy. Yeah, this team, I think he tried his best with what he had to work with, but I think he definitely could have gone for some more speed, though speed is relatively hard to come by.
True.
And yeah, this team is really fat. I think really what this is going to struggle most against is teams that just have an absurd amount of wall breakers.
Oh, for sure. If there's any like type of wall breaker that can get through the Mandibus Soxapec score, he's gonna struggle really bad, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not saying that's his only bulk, but that's definitely like the core piece of his bulk.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that he has not really like his Mandibus is gonna be forced into defogging every single week because it's his only form of removal at all.
Yeah,
And
the
he
only
has
other thing
Hatterene,
is
at
like
least
Magic Bounce Hatterene.
yeah, like Hatterene at least is like, in my opinion, the best Pokemon at preventing hazards with Magic Bounce.
I would
because
argue
it can actually,
Xatu
like,
is better at it.
it's like the difference with Zato and Hatterene is Hatterene can like take a singular hit from like most rock setters. Meanwhile, Zato like has to really watch out for rock coverage that almost all of them get.
I'd say Xatu can come in pretty comfortably in like passive stealth rockers, things like Hippowdon, and Xatu has a reliable recovery, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's definitely like one like yeah, but like Hatterene is like rather good at keeping hazards off the field at least.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like he's still gonna have to probably bring defog Mandibus like every week.
Mm-hmm.
Which just sucks because Mandibus already has a very much a big case of move sloth syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
But we shall see.
Yeah. Hello to Playmaker and Hydra in the chat. Yeah, Rhyperior is nice to chim because of no hidden power. It's definitely a big thing for Rhyperior. No HP grass, no HP water. It gets really tough to take this thing down, especially with the solid rock ability. And now most mons aren't able to hit it with the 3x super effective moves anymore, only like 1.5s. Like fighting moves are gonna bounce off Rhyperior.
I've always liked Rhyperior a good bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's
I think it's just a really small mon, and just no hidden powers make it that much better.
Yeah, I think no hidden powers is nice for it. Also the much like slower metagame relative in the Galar decks benefits it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very versatile. Even like the rock polish sets are going to outspeed a lot of mons because there's not a lot of fast choice Scarfers that are viable right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think Rhyperior is probably going to be the star of the show there. All right. Some scratching in one of your mics here. Nice.
Not it.
All right, so our next draft in 9th place, we have Istanbul Dame with the Seattle Supersonics. I love this logo. But
yeah, it's a sick look. Like, honestly, there's so many good logos. But yeah, this one's definitely really, really freaking good.
Yeah, this team though, I'm not so sure about. Now, I'd say it's a very, very offensive team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the defensive core is basically just Hippowdon and Rotom Wash. So like offensive grass types, for example, are a menace. I mean, there is the Centiskorch, but like that's basically it.
Honestly, Centiskorch is rather good though, so I do like that pick. But if it's a grass type that can get, if it's a grass type that has access to like Rock Slide or anything like that, he's actually just screwed. Straight up. Like honestly, bulky grass types are also like really troubling for Steam because all he has to really break through those is Centiskorch and Weavile.
Yeah, Beware is a pretty potent breaker as well, to be fair.
Oh yeah, but I just mean like if just imagine this team going up against something like Vileplume, how much it would struggle beating that thing down.
Well, Vileplume at least doesn't resist ground, so Excadrill can actually hit it pretty hard. Yeah, but Blossom though, Blossom walls the whole squad.
Blossom goat.
I'd say like the main. So this is more of like a very offensive, almost HO build. And I think the primary issue with that as a playstyle for this build for this draft is that it lacks fast Pokemon.
Like
I really only see Weavile
and Whimsicott. Those are the only two, and Whimsicott is more support than
Yeah, and then
He
like
was
the
running-
third fastest Pokemon is what, Excadrill at like, what is it, like 88?
88.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
He does have tailwind
So,
support,
like,
I guess, but
yeah, but to be this fast
Tailwind
and
is like not that good in singles, or like it's like a very like it definitely it's usable in draft, but it's like so niche,
yeah.
and you have so little time.
Hydra
Yeah,
asks,
there's
is
like
there
a
even a
gigantic gap
decently
between Whimsicott and Excadrill, so many people are just gonna be able to run like Adamant and Modest Pokemon. Like this, like people can just run like Modest or Adamant base 110s against this team without any issue.
Yeah, Hydra asks, is there even a decently fast and bulky grass with rock coverage in Galar? Well, there's none of the Tangela line, so,
I don't think
but
so.
I could definitely see a Pokemon
Does-
like Decidueye doing a ton of work against this
Oh,
team, for
yeah.
example, with the Brave Bird to hit the Sense Scorch.
Honestly, freaking what's it? Rillaboom also seems like really annoying.
Oh, Rillaboom, yeah, that's a menace
Steam.
for this. Really great
Afraid
speed
of-
tier as well.
Yeah.
And then even a Pokemon like Roserade could do a ton of work to this team,
Oh yeah.
because since the steel is neutral on grass. So yeah, that would be an incredible Pokemon against this team. So yeah, I feel like if you want to run like a frailer team without a lot of bulk and defensive backbone, you need to be faster. You know, you got to hit first. I
Yeah,
think.
for sure. And
I
also,
mean,
like,
he has
while
the
this team is
sands for speed control, but I don't think that's really sufficient. Like basically, all you
Also,
need to
like,
do is
for
shut
the
down
same time-
Excadrill, and that's how you beat this team.
at the same time, like he may be like he's not like extremely fast, but he's also not slow. Like Trick Room would also at the same time decimate this team because he has no good slow anti-Trick Room options outside of like maybe Beware.
Yeah,
that's it.
Beware and like Hippo is pretty slow as well, so like it won't
Yeah,
really be
but
too
like
smashed
Beware is
up.
only like Beware is like slow, but like it's 60, so a lot of Trick Room abusers still easily under speed.
I don't know how potent Trick Room is going to be this generation. It was a pretty niche last gen for the most part. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how
think
many,
it's
like
mostly,
there's
like,
really just like
singular-
Hatterene, I think.
Hatterene, Reuniclus, I think those are the main two that like are like serious Trick Room threats. But yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing is there's really not a lot of momentum on this team, which I think is also pretty poor for a more offensive team. There's like Volt Switch,
Yeah,
Rotom
it's-
Wash, U-Turn, Whimsicott, and I think that's it.
Teleport Gardevoir as well, but like Gardevoir is not the best teleport user. So yeah.
Yeah, so he's not even like able to get in like his offensive monts. He's gonna struggle to get his Drill, his Beware, his Weavile into position.
Also, like his only special breakers is like a more offensive and Gardevoir, and that's it. Like that's the only options he has for like actually specially breaking any team.
Yeah,
So
he's
I feel like
pretty
people can
physically
just like
biased for
easily just
sure.
stack on physically defensive months and be fine.
Yeah, and stuff like Will-O-Wisp becomes like a major issue.
Oh yeah, like this team has no Will-O-Wisp switch in really. Like Gardevoir is gonna be like the only one. At least Gardevoir can heal Bell for the team, but like at the same time, I don't know.
I mean, I guess arguably if he's Flash Fire Center Scourge. But
I mean, yeah, Flash Fire is definitely like its main. Like I mean, Flash Fire or Flame Body are like its two main abilities.
Right, so I think that's
Yeah.
about all we got for Istanbul. So that'll bring us to our 8th team, which is Romeo Dude and the Troy Tropiuses. A longtime coach in the KSL, moving on up from the Gastrodon division last season with a very impressive performance last season.
mid-finals, big boy.
He's got an interesting team here. So me and Blaze have this at 7th. Eon has it at 8th. I think this is like leagues better than the last team we just ranked.
Yeah, like this is like the first jump. Like the last two teams are like pretty bad, but like this is when the teams get usable.
Let's see.
The first thing is, which seems to be a regular theme like in this draft, like across all divisions really. His hazard setters are Bronzong, Stunburner, and then Galar Weezing, and that's Stunburner is an extremely unreliable rock setter because of its like hilariously bad like special defense.
Yeah, it really, like you might say, oh, it has low SPDF, but like when we say low SPDF, I mean this Pokemon gets OHKO'd by Blissey with Surf.
Yeah.
With
like
no
this,
special attack
it's
investment.
Absolutely.
Like, run the calc yourself.
Like,
I'm
honestly,
not kidding
the,
you.
the way I see it is just I just think this thing is a worse Regirock in every single way. Regirock is not, but like this thing is just so bad. I
Yeah,
don't see
I
why you would
think
ever
it's
go into draft.
mostly like, I mean, it does have 70 speed. It's deceptively fast. It's fairly strong
yeah.
as well, but it's like too frail to be like a consistent like offensive breaker even. And then it only has the
it
one
has to like
stab as well.
be able. It can only come in on physical Pokemon to begin with, and
Yeah.
at the same time, that physical Pokemon cannot have Earthquake because it's pretty relatively physically bulky, like 100, 130. But I don't know if it's gonna be good enough to really get common
Yeah.
at all. It's gonna be really hard to get.
All it really has is like rock, ground, and fighting moves.
Yeah,
It gets
That's it.
steel
And
moves
it
as well, I believe.
completely.
So what? Something
Okay,
pretty interesting going for
other-
this draft though is the double terrain setters with the Hawlucha. So that'll give him the
Yeah.
flexibility to either boost his physical defense or his special defense for the seed sets, which I think is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, Galarian Weezing I think is a really neat pick
Yeah.
with Hawlucha because it's both of the mons are sort of able to function independent of each other, but and do that very well. But they can also collaborate and be extremely effective. So I liked that pairing a lot.
And at the same time, Hawlucha now in this gen more than ever doesn't even need to rely on terrain anymore. Like it can easily just be ran without terrain at all.
Yeah, thanks
So
to
like,
close
that's
combat
definitely a
White
cool
Herb.
pick that he has complete flexibility.
Mm-hmm. I do like the possibility for Misty Terrain also with Pokemon like Goodra, who are very difficult to wear down with just attacks. You know, more vulnerable to status moves. Gastrodon as well. Persian I thought was a really cool pickup for one point.
One issue I did have though is with mons like Weezing, Bronzong, and Goodra that he did not pick up a Wish Passer because all three of those really like it, and his only currently reliable removal is with Recover on his Gastrodon, Pincherin, and then like Synthesis, Delmice. Like Weezing still gets Pain Split, of course, but it's like way less reliable, and Bronzong even like can't really use Recycle with Big Berry anymore because Big Berry's got nerfed.
Yeah, his team is very vulnerable to being slowly whittled down, especially if you use
Yeah.
moves like Knockoff to remove like leftovers or Black Sludge from his team. So it's definitely a little lacking the defensive backbone, and I think Goodra is sort of leaned on a little too much to check certain typings, like Fire, for example, is pretty threatening to a lot of this draft.
Also, like his only options for special attacks really on this team is special Zerora and also Goodra then. But that's about it. And like both of them are like solid special attackers, but you wouldn't call either of them one a really special attacker, like outside of maybe Specs.
Yeah, the team's
But
also
that's
relatively
very situational in
yeah, I was gonna say the team's also relatively ghost weak. The ghost resists are Sneasel and Persian.
Oh yeah, the ghosts just can easily disrespect those, and also let's keep in mind that any ghost gets will. So
Yeah.
even if Sneasel would attempt to switch in, which it can't because it's way too.
Yeah, I mean even like an
Ghost would also
Eviolite Sneasel is not taking it very well.
Whoever has Gengar is just going in.
Oh yeah, Gengar absolutely decimates this.
Look at Dragapult. Anyways, the one thing I do really like about this team though is there's a lot of good fast Pokemon on this team between the Zeraora, Hawlucha. Those are really the main two, but also like Persian, Sneasel. Like he actually has like really good speed. So I think can be
except that like a slight speed gap between Rapidash and Goodra, but that's like minor. It's like 105 to. It's not the biggest deal, but it does mean that base 100s can run boosting nature.
Yeah.
So it's something to keep in mind.
Oh yeah, one thing I would like to point out about every single Seismitoad draft is every Toad draft has an Ice type on its team. Buying into the KSL, legacy.
You need an Ice type to win.
Nobody has ever won the Kirby Street League without an Ice type. That's a fact.
I also just like how Blaze's team absolutely like the only type he's missing is the Bug type, which is so irrelevant to miss. Like that's interesting to me.
Blaze.
Oh yeah, I also wanted to mention that should Bronzong get weakened ever, his team just bends over to Psychic types. Like Bronzong is like his only reliable psychic type check.
Yeah, there's only
like,
Sneasel. Yeah,
defensively.
kind of an oof. I think he would definitely prefer a bulkier dark type on this squad.
Yeah, like I think like definitely because this team doesn't exactly need the speed because at all. I would definitely like say swap Sneasel out for like a more bulky dark type and then just grab a different ice type because you can't win without an ice type. But yeah.
Right. So I think that brings us to our next team. In 7th place, we have Wreck-It Mike and the Virginia Victinis, which I've ranked 6th, Blaze is ranked 8th, and Eon has ranked 7th.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about how Istanbul doesn't have a defensive backbone. This team is somewhat similar. There's really only I guess there's like 3 fat things with Reuni, Pharaoh, Mudsdale.
Yeah, but at the same time, from experiencing using Reuniclus, 9 times out of 10 you prefer running like a offensive set of like some sort, like whether you're offensive Calm Mind or offensive Life Orb, like it doesn't really matter. But like offensive sets generally are just much.
I think that would definitely depend on what
yeah,
kind
and
of
then
draft
Mudsdale-
you have.
Also, yeah, but like also Ferrotor and Mudsdale, both of them don't have recovery, so easily worn down. No wish either.
Yeah,
on
I
this
know
team.
he also just dropped Charizard and Mudsdale for Rhydon and Blastoise, I believe.
Huh, that's interesting. Because one of the criticisms I definitely had of this team is that it has no bulky water at all.
Yeah, Keldeo is the
Which-
water type, is a little
because Keldeo-
suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But dropping Charizard for Charizard and Mudsdale for those two is interesting. I definitely think that improves the team overall.
I do think Rotom Fan as the ground resist is a little suspicious as well.
Oh yeah, like
Especially
grounds
with
even
flipping
with
Mudsdale
the
for
previous
Rhydon,
build-
which is weak to rock.
Yeah, that's like the main thing. Mudsdale was like the one thing that held ground types off this team, and now he just gets 6-0'd by a good ground type. Because all they need to do is just run some rock coverage and they're good, which they usually already wanted to do anyway.
Yeah, if you looked at like offensive Rhyperior versus the team, it's a slaughter. One thing I do really like about this team is the strong the Psychic Fighting Dark Core between Keldeo, Reuniclus, and Grimmsnarl.
He has good and more Pico, I guess.
Oh, and more Pico too, double dark.
Also, like, wait, what? He dropped Charizard for which two again? Like, he dropped it for
Blastoise.
Rhydon and Blastoise.
Yeah, okay, so his removal now is Blastoise, Rotom Fan, and Morpeko, which forces Blastoise into a more defensive role and not a Shell Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the role it was going to play with Keldeo on the team anyways. Or Keldeo sort of fulfills the offensive water.
Doesn't mind that. He's gonna have to rely on Blastoise a lot for removal. Like his removal is literally just a Blastoise and then 2 electric types, which is a bit weird.
I think the biggest strength of this team overall, though, is how it really abuses screens from Grimmsnarl. There's really some fantastic setup Pokemon on this team, between something like Dragon Dance or Swords Dance Haxorus. Setup Reuniclus.
Calm Mind
Keldeo
as well.
And now there's gonna be Shell Smash Blastoise as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's
definitely it definitely abuses Grimmsnarl really good.
Yeah, he's got really good wing cons and setup mons overall. I think that's what he has. Yeah. He can definitely win games with this team. I think it's going to be an uphill battle, but he can do it.
Like he has like some solid priority options as well. First impression, Hextra Switch it got now, and Sucker Punch Grimmsnarl. So that's pretty nice. So it doesn't just get blown over by some Scarfer.
Yeah, Hydra says he'd rank this 8. Not gonna lie, this team kind of sus. Interesting.
Hydra and I agree then.
All right. So I think that's about all we can say about Mike's team. Brings us to 6th, which is Alex Cool Rocket and the Milwaukee Melmetals, which you two each have ranked at 5. I have ranked at 8th, so somewhat significant difference there.
Yeah, like me and Blaze clearly thought it was a bit better than.
Yeah, I think the first 3 Pokemon are fantastic between the Hydreigon, Gengar, Darmanitan. I thought that Hydreigon is an excellent core. I was making a lot of builds for that actually in DPL, which Alex was on my team, so I'm guessing he was inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's
I
like
think
some really standout weaknesses on this draft that I didn't like.
like his Pharisees is only steel type, right?
Yeah, he's got a really
Mhm.
bad fairy steel combo.
Also, he also like has pretty much very much no real knockoff switching because none of his Pokemon really appreciate getting knocked off, and he has two Eviolite users as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's really just like Hydreigon as the knockoff switching.
but he does
Mhm.
have Blossom, so
Yeah. Also, like, let's talk about how his hazards are literally just Ferroseed and Piloswine for offensive hazards, and then Rabombi with webs, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. His fighting checks are also
Pharisees
relatively
fight-
poor. It's like Gengar, Rabombi, Sigilyph.
Yeah, all of them are rather offensively, like, at least, like, they prefer being offensive. Sigilyph can be ran defensive as well, of course.
I think
Yeah.
I think he's got good speed on his team. I think he would appreciate more momentum between having the the really strong breakers and Hydreigon, Gengar, and
Yeah.
Darmanitan.
Yeah, it's like at the moment it's only Darmanitan, Hydreigon, and like Bolton who will reliably run it, and then Rabombi can run U-turn decently often as well. But that's
No,
like,
Bolton is
oh yeah, I
never
mean, you
clicking
can also
Volt Switch.
Does it get U-turn?
No.
No, it doesn't. Else it would never run Volt Switch. I mean, he also has like the niche of like Bad and Pass Vaporeon now, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's not bad, but
Whatever
it's
about
not
this
optimal.
stream name, I don't care. Like I'll change it when I upload it to YouTube.
Oh yeah, another thing is like his removal, like free, like Hydreigon doesn't really want to run Defog ever. Rabombi, same thing, and so it's pretty much down to Sigilyph and Hitmontop to do it all the time.
Yeah, Alex says that
Bitch.
Shen wanted to draft Bronzong for this draft. I think that would have shored up quite a few weaknesses, but
Oh yeah, Bronzong would have like helped the team a good bit. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention. What is your ghost switch in? It's literally just Hydreigon and nothing else.
Pretty much. Greedent.
yeah, there's a Greedent.
I was sleep on Greedent.
I've seen Greedent counter a Dragapult before.
I mean, Greedent is really shit. Let's just face it. That one is not good.
Well, I'm telling Kaz right now. He loves that thing. Except he
Well,
dropped it.
tell him, but like, that's just a shit mon, straight up.
Alright. So yeah, with all these like weaknesses, I'm kind of surprised you guys put this all the way at 5th.
I mean, yeah, there's definite weakness, but the reason I did it is because I looked at this team as more like a freaking hyper offensive team, and I'm just like looking how many people are gonna be able to stand up to Hydreigon, Gengar, Darmanitan, with then webs from Rabombi, then a Piloswine as well, a Sigilyph, then a Vaporeon for some bulk, Piloswine as well for bulk. Like I'm just looking at this and like how many people are actually gonna be able to stand up to this in Seismitoad, and I felt like this team is like a good one to like just like slightly edge into the top half draft, not be able to make it into the top because it has severe weakness. But at the same time, it's such big strengths that I felt like there's teams that are definitely.
Yeah, offensive pressure is really why I also rank this 5th. But
yeah, there's definitely like some. I think the first 3 mountains are fantastic. I think he could have really leaned into what he was building more with his later picks. Anyways, I think that's ready for our next draft, which is 5th overall. And Robert Panda and the Carolina Pancham, which I've ranked 3rd. Each of you have ranked 6th.
Yeah. Let me pull
This team, I'd say overall, doesn't do anything in particular. It's just solid.
I just like let's see. Let me try and think reasons where did I so much.
Now, he did copy 3 mons from my KSL Season 1 team, Sylveon, Quagsire, Shuckle.
he really pulled up the old archives and was like, all right, what can I draft?
All you gotta do is go to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, some positive things about his team is definitely that like generally he has like made it so he's Silval is not that pressured into filling one role. It can actually flex its like versatility a good bit. But if he ever needs like a dragon or ghost type Pokemon, he's pretty much forced to run that in Silval.
Yeah.
But outside of that, he's like generally able to run a thing rather versatile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, like, overall, this is a pretty solid draft. I think it was mostly just that I thought the other teams are just better. Like, I don't see why this is top 3 teams necessarily. Like, it's not a bad team at all. But at the same time, especially it completely relies pretty much on like Necrozma, like a special Necrozma. So Volley if it's special, and then like Sylveon, and I guess Rodent Frost, but Rodent Frost is like a not super reliable Pokemon to run every week.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with this is it lacks a lot of immediate breaking power. Like the
For
strongest
sure, like you need setup.
immediate breakers
pretty
are
much.
mons like Sylveon, like offensive Sylveon and Caparaja. And then
Yeah,
mons
pretty
like
much, like-
Necro and Virizion are very setup dependent for their offensive
Yeah.
pressure.
I mean, Cinderace has a good amount of offensive pressure as well out of the box, but
Mm-hmm.
like it feels like this team just lives or dies more or less by Necrozma's matchup every week. Like I feel like this team is really gonna be dependent on whether Necrozma can clean up a game or not.
Mm-hmm.
And if people can stop that without losing too many of their own mons, they're like pretty much set like in a good position to take the game. So I feel like that's the main reason I didn't really put it much higher. Also, for like rocks, yeah, Necrozma can set rocks, but generally in like Gen 8 meta, you don't want to ever run rocks on it. You want it to be like one of your offensive stars. So I feel like he's pretty much forced to bring Rocks Copper or Rocks Shuckle every week, and I'm not a fan of Shuckle. Almost. Like, I
Yeah,
think it's
with
a really
Caparaja being one of the stronger breakers on the team, I'd say that's definitely a limiting force.
Also, his defog. Okay, his removal is only defog, so he can't keep up webs if he would want to bring webs on Shuckle. And at the same time, his removal is just Cramorant.
He has
Not
a
the best Pokemon,
Cinderace
like,
as
it can't,
well,
like, rely.
and Silvally
Oh, yeah,
also gets
Cinderace can also,
defog,
like, keep it
and
off,
so
yeah.
does
But
Rotom
that means that he
Frost.
can't get his own. He can't like set his own hazards up that way as well. But yeah, Cinderace definitely helps.
He's got actually pretty decent removal. Cinderace, Silvally, Rotom Frost are all decent enough
I think
removers.
Silvally is gonna be very relied on for Silvally and Cinderace are definitely gonna be the main two forms of removal for this team.
Yeah, so I'd say this team is sort of without a lot of strengths, but also without like major weaknesses. So I think it's really going to come down to him outplaying his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
See, Hydra says putting this team 6th is kind of sus. He says it's probably like top 4 in his eyes. Rubber Panda says don't mess with Shuckle. And Splurge.
He also said he's bringing Cramorant every.
Yeah, and Splurge says it lives and dies on Necrozma's matchup, and whether webs can be brought if Necro fails to offer a foothold. Interesting take.
I mean, I think like that's more or less what I said too. Like it just like I feel like Necrozma is definitely like the star of this roster, and if Necrozma fails, team is more or less gonna follow. Like there's definitely like other people, like other Pokemon that could do it.
But yeah, like, so I'm on like Mandibuzz if he like aids for this team.
Oh yeah, how the hell are you breaking Mandibuzz?
I mean, there's a Sylveon, but yeah.
It's literally Sylveon, but who stays in on Sylveon with their Mandibuzz? Like you just switch.
Well, Sylveon does have Mystical Fire this gen, so it's a lot harder to switch into it than it used to be.
Oh, true.
So I think we're ready for our next team. And 4th, we have Jamesy and the Crystal Palkia.
Jamesy, the GOAT.
Well, we were pretty unanimous about this one, to be honest. Like only like DL differed from us, but
this is much better after his transactions than it used to be.
Shout out to the Crustle.
Sure, yo, Crustle GOAT. You already know I'm also gonna sweep people with my Crustle. Yeah, it's just funny. But yeah, Grussel like improved his team by a lot by giving it another rocker beyond Seismitoad and also giving his team spikes. Really nice. He also has solid removal in the Decidueye and Togekiss, and if he needs. Another thing I liked is how he has like a lot of ways to pivot around with his team to get in mons such as Melville and Togekiss.
And Kyurem. Don't forget about that Kyurem at the bottom
as well, of course. Yeah, the Kyurem just sitting at the bottom is so deceptive because you just forget it.
Kyurem, Melmel, Togekiss sounds pretty nasty.
Yeah, it does.
That's definitely like the strong point to like that Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Yeah, it's got
Mm.
great momentum, especially as lower tier mons are really packing a lot of the momentum, which does well to support his top half. Yeah, Incineroar,
Exactly.
Vullaby, Alolan Raichu, Decidueye, Chino. So they can really perform a supporting role quite well, I think.
Exactly.
One thing that does stand out is he's pretty fire weak. I think Incineroar and Seismitoad are the only resists.
Yeah, and like Seismitoad will have to watch out for Will-O-Wisp or like anything like that, because this generation especially prefers running physical a lot of the time because you get access to Power Whip now. You get around auto.
Yeah, it does have Grass Knot as
also
well.
extremely it's also extremely weak to Fairy, with Melmetal being the only resistance.
Yeah, since neither the poison nor the fire resist Fairy.
Exactly, and as we all know, a lot of fairies gain mystical fire disposition. So like Melmetal is really, but
especially like
time,
specially offensive fairies that can target Melmetal's lower def stat could be a huge issue. Like if you think of a Pokemon like Gardevoir, for example.
You also definitely want to use metal to break the wall, so that's definitely gonna be iffy.
We'll see just what Melmetal can do.
Yeah. Overall, this is just a really solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
think
crazy I picked up Kyurem after draft.
Oh yeah. I was surprised when he said Kyurem was still on the board. I'm like, I was planning on taking Kyurem with my first pick until certain other Pokemon fell in my hands.
Kyurem is a round 1/round 2 mon easily. I don't know why it was still around that.
Romeo almost took it, but it would have messed up his speed tiers, I think.
Yeah. Right. Like speaking about speed tiers, his only speed on the Steam really is Cinccino and Raichu Alola, and then it drops to Kyurem. So that's definitely gonna be something he has to watch out for, and it's not like a team in Quagsire where it's a clear, obvious like Trick Room focused team. So it's gonna be a bit iffy there, but overall, like this team is really solid. Just needs to watch out for certain threats.
Right, so I think we're ready for third. We got Eco and the Florida for Alligators. So I've got fourth, and you two have it third. This team, I know Eco and I got into a big talk about this one. He's got some very strong elements in this team. You see, he starts out with lines like Jirachi, Rotom Heat, Milotic, Obstagoon, Slurpuff. I really liked that start. I think he's got some really lackluster Pokemon towards the back half of his draft, namely Ice-Q and Roserade. I think are pretty big like letdowns. I think Ice-Q is especially out of place with him already having a Belly Drum Sweeper and Slurpuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, like Slurpuff is definitely like way less good at this Belly Drum sweeping now with Lost Return for coverage. So at the same, also there was something else. Oh yeah, never mind. I was thinking of pre-home. But yeah, Slurpuff, like, yeah, Ice-Q plus Slurpuff is just weird. And in my opinion, Ice-Q also just is not a good Pokemon. So
he does have a really good assortment of hazards that he can set.
Oh yeah, he has really like his hazard is probably like the best thing about this team, to be honest.
Yeah, he's also got really good momentum and quite strong setup on his team as well.
Also extremely good removal. Like all three of his removers really don't mind running it ever. Like especially now that Rotom Heat and Noivern got heavy duty boots to help them actually like come in on hazards to begin with.
So I think the main things that stand out as far as weaknesses go is it's relatively slow. If you don't count Broken Face Ice-Q, the only mon above 100 is Noivern. Which also means some like 115s and stuff can run plus attack natures. It's kind of annoying, but there's not too many of those. It's like Cinderace and Salazzle and such.
Another thing I wanted to mention is that this team's Ghost Switching is just Obstagoon and nothing else. Which is gonna be really scary if a Ghost type has access to Focus Blast or some other fighting type move. Or anything at all, like Obstagoon just doesn't live.
Yeah, especially with how Obstagoon tends to be worn down over the course of the game between hazards.
Exactly.
Like even just like a Dazzling Gleam or something, or in the case of Dragapult, like a Draco Meteor is going to obliterate it.
It also feels like overall this team's like rather like physically built, because most of its special attackers either like tend to lean more towards the support role, or they're not like extremely strong to begin with.
Yeah, Obstagoon is the only really immediate breaker that can do it without setup or
Yeah.
maybe a choiced boosting item like Specs for Rotom Heat or something like that.
Exactly. And even Specs Rotom Heat, like, because of it's pretty much limited to electric and fire coverage, and maybe that doesn't have much coverage to do much.
Yeah,
And
so
like,
I think this.
Rotom Heat definitely like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this team is sort of really reliant on Obstagoon to perform a lot of roles. And I think it's very good on this team for sure, but I think it's trying to carry the team too much. It needs to be alive to be the breaker. It needs to be alive to be the ghost resist. Like,
yeah, it like there's so much pressure on Obstagoon and for this team. So I would have liked to maybe see him pick up a second dark or second normal type to help with ghost types.
like maybe like a normal flying, like something like a Braviary would have been really nice.
Exactly. But at the same time, he picked Noivern because he needed its speed. Without Noivern, his speed is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, so our next draft, we've got Forsyth and the Mauville Mawwiles, which myself and Blaze have ranked second. Ian has it number 1. Yep. I know Forsyth did not see this coming.
I mean, he should have. His team is freaking broken.
Yeah, but like, Forsyth, the Un.
He is the Un, but somehow these people that actually like Seismitoad is clearly undraft because they let this man grab Dragapult for like his third pick. Like he was third pick of the first round, and he got Dragapult. And then they all the way let Clefable fall back to him, so he had a Dragapult Clefable. He has like 2 of the most broken Pokemon in Galar drafts on one team.
And then he's got a Surfetched.
Yeah, he's just a really good breaker on top of that. And then he has Salazzle, which is another one, extremely good Pokemon for this meta. And then like everything else just starts being like more mellowed out, but like in general, like it really supports this team really well. Like his rockers are pretty freaking good for this team. Like it's Clefable, Boldore, and Steelix. And people they shouldn't sleep on. It's like as a cheap rock type, it's probably like really freaking. And I say that from experience using.
Yeah.
Then as removal, it's Mantine, Rotom-Mow, then Surfetched, and Galarian Mr. Mime. So overall, really good pool of mons. And then like he has really, really good momentum to go around in Dragapult, Version Alola, Rotom-Mow, Vikavolt, even like options such as Baton Pass, Clefable, or Mr.
Yeah, I really like the Galarian Mr. Mime on this team. I think it fits quite well with him already having pretty solid checks too, fighting types between the Clefable, Mantine, Dragapult, Vikavolt. I think is kind of cool as too, especially with the heavy duty boots now. It can actually check a lot of fighting types rather effectively.
Also, that thing brings Sticker Webs, which can make Pokemon such as Starfetched or Clefable even more oppressive than they already are usually.
Yeah, I think the Salazzle Dragapult combo is really potent because most of the checks to Dragapult, things like bulky fairies, bulky dark types like Mandibuzz, Salazzle just sort of feasts on them between its like offensive sets and its toxic sets. Salazzle's just such a good Pokemon.
He also has a good amount of staying power with like soft-boiled Clefable, Roost on Mantine and Vikavolt. Then also like even Pain Split on Rotom.
Yeah,
and then he also has the option of running Wish Clefable
to
keep his other mons up.
Yeah, that could be really nice for Pokemon like Rotom and Steelix especially.
Yeah.
There's really good momentum on this team too. I don't know if we've talked about that already.
Yeah, I talked about it briefly, but just like it's really, really good. It just lets Dragapult or any of his other breakers just come in so easily.
Yeah, Forrest says, I think Mr. Mime saved me from having a bad team. Interesting. Honestly, I mean, it does fill the speed tier really well.
Yeah, it's really, like, Mr. Mime was a really, really good fit on this. Yeah, like, just speaking about him, the speed tiers are really 142 with Dragapult, then 117 Salazzle, 115 Persian Alolan, then 100 and Mr. Map. And then like Rotom Heat for 86, and then it goes to the lowers. Like it's rather good. Like not that many mons can actually run boosting natures again.
Yeah, it's really only like mons that like a Noivern, I guess, could run it. Maybe, I don't know. No, you'd have to be in like the 130s to run plus attack nature.
I think like one of the only ones that could do it is like Zeraora, which is one.
No, Zeraora is faster than Dragapult.
Oh wait, no, it's 143. My bad. There's definitely some Pokemon that are like in that 130ish range that can do. Oh, maybe no, Jolteon can't. Even if Jolteon.
Yeah, you'd have to be like 133 or so, I think. Because Salazzle's 117. 130s can run it on 115s, and Salazzle's 117. I don't know.
Overall, just a really good team.
Yeah.
Let's see. What are weaknesses really like? Are there like
he's Ghost weak.
Type? He's also Rock weak, to be honest, because Steelix and Surf Edge only resist.
Yeah, he's pretty fire weak as well. It's really just the Mantine. It's like Dragapult and Salazzle are relatively frail.
And Boldor is like gonna be niche. Like Boulder is a solid mon overall, but like it's not gonna be brought the whole lot. And it's definitely not the most reliable fire checky.
Yeah, I'd say like one interesting thing about this team that's sort of a weakness is his breakers are relatively frail, which you might say like okay, but what that means is that he can be lured pretty effectively with like resist berries, or like
possibly
like little tech things, since it's pretty easy to KO a Pokemon like Salazzle.
At the same time, like some of these Pokemon, like he has multiple breakers to begin with anyway. So like unless it's a certain matchup that he's extremely reliable on one Pokemon breaking to win, I feel like losing one breaker to like a lure wouldn't be the end of the world, depending on how he plays going. Yeah, like overall, this team just has a lot of options for his Pokemon, good synergy, just a really good. Which is why I put it first as well.
Which brings us to number 1. My number 1, Blaze's number 1, Eon's number 2. You probably know who it is by now. It is Alec G and the Wisconsin Wailords. I love that logo with the skitty.
Yep, they're one of my favorite logos.
Yeah, Alex always had a sick logo.
Yeah, my disciple from last season, making me proud once again.
If you want to talk about some scary offensive mons.
Terrakion Mamoswine. Oh my god.
This team is hyper offensive as fuck in my opinion. Like
Corviknight, Primarina, Arcanine. Those first 5 are so good, and they're quite fast too.
Primarina
plus screen potential from Orbeetle.
I just feel like this team is very much like hyper offensive or like balanced offense type of team that are like, as long as he can break through his team before his own team falls, he can just claim so many.
Yeah, this is a really strong, bulky offensive team, I'd say. You know, he doesn't have too many like actually frail Pokemon on his team. Like Terrakion and Mamoswine, Primarina, those all have quite good bulk. Drampa as well.
Some criticism I did have for this team though is that its fastest Pokemon is Raichu at 110, and then it goes to Terrakion 108, and then it drops down to below the 100.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely vulnerable to Scarfers. And it may even be forced a little bit often into running like Scarf Terrakion or Scarf Mamoswine to actually run for its own score. Which will obviously like break down how much they can actually like break opponents' teams. Another thing is like for such an offensive team, both his rockers are really offensive and don't always want to run rocks in Mamoswine.
Yeah,
which may end up hurting him a bit. Like, and he has no other offensive hazards to speak of.
Yeah, he's just got webs from Orbeetle.
Yeah, webs, by the way, like are gonna be really, really good on this team as long as he doesn't set him up on his own side of the field like last game.
Yeah, I mean, and if he does, he needs to make sure to not taunt himself at least.
Exactly.
I think is his pivoting only Corviknight and Raichu?
No, Orbeetle as well with U-turn.
Orbeetle.
And then something that's actually pretty cool is that Arcanine got teleport in Let's Go.
Oh,
So
interesting.
Arcanine can actually be a decent like slow pivot Pokemon.
Shout out to Let's Go. Let's take a moment to appreciate it.
But yeah, like Arcanine can actually be a really solid slow pivot Pokemon. Definitely because like bulky Arcanine is a very good set overall.
Yeah, I mean, if
So, yeah.
Terrakion and Mamoswine are moving before the Mont on the other side, Alec will win. Like his breaking power is
pretty much.
overwhelming.
And they also like pretty much force the same checks generally, so they just break for each other.
Yeah, and then he's got really good
Which is
special breakers
fantastic.
from like Primarina and Drampa as well.
Mhm,
One thing I didn't
exactly.
like is it seems like Primarina might be forced into a more defensive role pretty often.
Depends on how depends on how hyper offensive he wants to play. Like that's what I mean. Like
Yeah, his team's very
Primarina,
versatile. I like it a
if
lot.
he's forced into a bulky role, it will like pretty much like hamper special offense a little bit. Unless he, like also like his removal is pretty much Drampa Corviknight. Actually, no, his removal is solid. I just wonder why the fuck
right?
like why is a War Turtle there? That's one thing that puzzled me. Why is there a War Turtle? He didn't
For the
he
clout.
didn't need the removal because honestly his removal is already solid.
I
Like,
think
the
he
only thing
wanted
it
a
brought to him was the
secondary
rapid
bulky
spinner.
water type, maybe.
I mean, at the same time, War Turtle is not tanking anything, even with Eviolite.
If he's bringing it, it's probably just the spin.
Yeah, it's literally just a spin bot, and like maybe he can spread a little bit of toxic, a little bit of burn with Scald, and that's about
I
it.
swear, War Turtle's gonna shell smash and sweep somebody in this division.
Well, I'd love to see it, but sadly, Insanity already left the server, and he already played Insanity, so I don't think it's gonna happen.
Right.
I mean, there were some teams without offensive, defensive backbones that we were talking about back earlier in the rankings. I could see a War Turtle sweep. I mean, who in the chat wants to see War Turtle sweep somebody? I know I do. That should be in the pick'ems every week. Like, will this be the week War Turtle wins?
Just like every week, there just needs to be like the sound. Can this be the matchup for War Turtle? I just imagine like just being the first guy to get swept by a freaking War Turtle. That would actually be really embarrassing.
I swear it's gonna happen to you. Somebody's gonna pick it up.
Yeah. Did someone else get it in Gastro?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think somebody was considering
interested
drafting
in it, but then-
Squirtle in Gastrodon.
Yeah, but like I talked him out of it. Like I eventually talked him out of it and like making some
Right,
transactions.
but I think that's all we have for the Seismitoad draft. Everybody drafted an ice type, so everybody drafted well enough. Right?
Fun fact, I believe Caustic was the only one to draft Mimikyu out of all 3 leagues.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mimikyu went. Another fun fact is Torracat went drafted in every league. The only a 1-point Pokemon to get drafted in every division, which I thought was really funny.
Nice. Well, Persian didn't get drafted in all 3?
I don't think so. But I can't say which.
Because I know Persian got drafted in Quag and Toad. I don't know if he did in Gastro.
I'm not sure either, honestly. Let me quickly check. But I'm unsure. If so, then there's 2 Pokemon. But like at the same time, I thought it was funny that an NFE Pokemon got drafted in every single.
All right. Well,
division.
thank you all for watching. Thanks for joining the stream. This will be posted to YouTube pretty soon. Thank you, Eon and Blaze, for joining me for the draft rankings. We'll see you all tomorrow at 4 EST for the Quagsire draft rankings. And Hydra will be joining us, so that'll be awesome.
Let's go.
See you all later, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.